Prior to earnings, Jim Cramer advised Nvidia investors to remain calm in the light of the recent Blackwell chip reports. Cramer also suggested that the current situation might present a buying opportunity for savvy investors, especially given Nvidia's significant stock gains in past. In this video, Jim Cramer praises Nvidia for its exceptional performance in the recent earnings report, noting the significant increase in revenue and profit margins. He attributes Nvidia's success to its focus on accelerated computing and AI. Cramer highlights that Nvidia's disruptive technology is reshaping industries and creating high demand for its products, positioning the company as a key player in the evolving landscape of technology and business.
He is rolling not one but two balls down the lane, one being accelerated computing and the other being artificial intelligence. It's all happening because CEO Jensen Wong and his team may be the best bowlers of all time, figuratively speaking, of course. This morning on Squawk on the Street, my fabulous partner, Carl Quintanilla, started off the show by asking me what I thought about Nvidia's quarter. At the time, the stock was down $1 or $2, and I was muted. I was clinical. Not wanting to hype a stock I've championed to the point of ridicule. But then I sat back and I paused for a moment. Not my strong suit. And I said that, frankly, I've never seen anything like what's happening at Nvidia. Never. Just never. And even though the stock was down, despite 19 firms raising their price targets this morning, I said this stock's simply not capturing the seismic shift that's happening here. You see, Nvidia is disrupting everything we know about business. There are only so many superlatives when it comes to the demand for their technology. We've heard it called insane. We've heard it called enormous. Last night, the operative word was staggering. I think even Jensen's struggling for analogies at this point. Like when he was talking about how one use for the latest and greatest chip Blackwell is OpenAI, which he said is something completely new, like the iPhone. The iPhone, he compared it to. We think of the iPhone as this once-in-a-lifetime invention. But when you go through the Nvidia call, you realize that the iPhone may be smaller by comparison small. In the end, that was just a single device, no matter how revolutionary. Nvidia's chips, they're remaking the world as we know it. There's $1 trillion worth of computing power that needs to be replaced by Nvidia. There's trillions of dollars in factories that need to be built with the Nvidia Omniverse. There's trillions that can be saved in legal work, forecasting, supply chain management, engineering, and most of all, coding, where you can just speak to the machine and tell it what to do in plain English rather than a programming language. Trillions to be made in humanoids. And Elon Musk planned to give everybody a human-like robot to do the dirty work, the drone stuff. It's positively Shakespearean. I've been thinking, maybe it's Jensen's world, and all the men and women are merely players. Or going back to the more prosaic bowling analogy, this quarter was so earth-shaking that it caused whole sectors to fly in different directions. First, the positive. Jensen made it clear that we don't have enough power now to handle all the demand from these machines. So that causes power producers like Constellation Energy and Vistra to fly. It bolsters the case for all the data center plays, meaning Vertiv, Dover, and Eaton, the picks and shovels of the data center. They can soar. Jensen dropped that there are some memory shortages, perhaps related to high bandwidth chips. Oh, that's Micron, symbol MU. Been waiting for that to roar. Optical product, which is backbone plumbing. Oh, that's Marvell Tech. Amphenol, a connector company, gets a shout out. So its stock jumps. These are all classic pin action. And then I want you to write this down because it's something that you're going to be hearing over and over again. I want you to be ready. It's called Agentics. A-G-E-N-T-I-C. New word, agentics, for a whole new form of computing where you have agents in your organization powered by Nvidia with, say, Salesforce, among others, getting a big shout out. Mark Benioff, CEO of Salesforce, has been talking about his Agent Force, a product capable of creating billions of agents. Agentics, what does it mean? Let me give you an example. Today, I wanted to speak to a doctor about the results of a test I took Monday. I called and I got the usual automated recorded idiot who knows nothing about me with 4 different choices, which I needed to have repeated because they went so fast. Then I pressed 2 in order to speak to someone who might be remotely related to the person I wanted to speak, but they weren't. So then I got back in the queue and all I pressed 3. There, I got to a human, but it was the wrong woman who transferred me to the right person who wrote my number down but didn't get my name, and I never got a call back anyway. In the Agentics world, I call, an agent answers. It knows my name because it recognizes my number. It calls up my record and asks me if I wanted to speak to the doctor I saw earlier in the week. I would say yes, and then it would ask me for a detailed message, which would be given to the doctor if you could answer the question by itself, though, because it has all the information you need to handle frequently asked questions. That's Agentics. Conversational, non-existent agent, all powered by NVIDIA. You get a human, I say, I don't want the human, I want the agent. So Salesforce goes flying along with Accenture and ServiceNow. Some companies, some goes for companies that aided the process: Cadence, NetApp, Nutanix. Oh, but let me get a little downside because it's kind of amusing. On a huge update, Microsoft stock's down $1.79, Meta's down $2.43, Amazon falls $4.50, and Tesla loses $2.39. Why? Because these are Nvidia's biggest customers. For almost a year, we've been hearing the canard that the spending on Nvidia chips couldn't last, that they couldn't continue. Demand can't continue to overwhelm supply, but those are a pack of lies. The demand is accelerating because the payoff is so great. According to Jensen, for every dollar their customers put in, they're making 5 smackers. That means they have no choice but to buy Nvidia's chips because they need to be relevant in Jensen's world or else. So forget about the idea that Nvidia stock is all about to hit a wall. Me, I think the strikes we saw rolled last night are just the early frames. We may be witnessing nothing short of a turkey, a hambone, a brat, or even a 6 badger. That's right, a 3, 4, 5, or even 6 strikes. A lot of frames, a lot of game. Here's the bottom line. I never thought I'd say this, but I too am out of superlatives. What's happening in Nvidia is so positive that it defies description.